Hey everyone, welcome to another match of Temur Hooting Delver. Today we are playing Tron. I have one game for you today instead of a full match because it seems our opponent did not want to continue after the first game. I still wanted to post this up because I think it was actually a great demonstration of how Temur Delver deals with Tron. Now I have to admit that it's not the best matchup, um, and we definitely have limited responses, but when the responses are there, they're quite impactful. And I think this was just an interesting game to share and analyze. So the opening hand wasn't very strong. It was kind of land heavy, but we did have threats and we had some permission, so it was enough for us to go forward. Plus, we didn't know what we were playing against, so I decided to stick with it. Now our opponent is trying to figure out how to cast Dismember, but Delver is definitely gonna die here. That's okay. The opponent had to double shock himself for that, so that helps us. So our opponent's playing Tectonic Edge, and he's chalicing on one. Normally, I scoop at this point. Almost certainly. Literally, the only reason I did not scoop is because I have a Mana Leak and Tarmogoyf in hand. Because essentially most of this deck is now turned off. But I wanted to give it a shot. Again, I really just wanted to quit at this point because, good for our opponent. He got a free win on game one by chalicing on one. Either way, Tarmogoyf hits the ground. It resolves. Unsurprisingly, I'm sure he wanted to save Dismember for Tarmogoyf, but that's too bad. We're tapped out. So interesting enough, our opponent's playing Mind Stone here, which is okay. I'm not familiar with Tron decks playing with this card commonly, but it's fine. I suppose it's a form of ramp, and you could always sacrifice it for some mana. That's for a card draw, sorry. So we get another Tarmogoyf, which is actually pretty good. But at this point, I'm not too certain I want to commit to the board. Because if we do slam Tarmogoyf this turn, odds are our opponent wants to cast something for 4 mana next turn. And that's just too risky. I think I brain farted here. In theory, I actually should have done this before the attack, so that Tarmogoyf could have grown to a 4 or 5 as opposed to a 3-4, but whatever. So our opponent's down to 13, we're at 16, we're fine, there's still no threats on the board. Eldrazi is named for Cavern of Souls, not too surprised there either. But now we're going to see. I mean, if it's an Eldrazi spell, then, okay, we can't do anything about it. If it's anything else, odds are we're not going to let it resolve. So I guess our opponent is thinking. And he's going to play Karn, definitely not resolving. This is exactly why we didn't overcommit to the board early on, because we needed a response. So now not only are we going to counter Karn, we are going to make our Tarmogoyf a 5/6, which is serious, very serious. Our opponent is now running out of turns to do something. So we're going to counter his Planeswalker. That's going to go away. Yeah. So we win that. All right, we now have a 5/6 Tarmogoyf. We draw more land, which really sucks, honestly. That's not doing us any favors, but it is what it is. We're going to attack in, deal more damage to our opponent. Now, given the fact that we have Chalice on the board, I see no reason to hold back our second Tarmogoyf. We pretty much have to put all our threats on the table. If he ends up getting some sort of board wipe or whatever, it is what it is. He's nowhere. He nowhere has enough Tron pieces at the moment, so it's not like he's going to be making an insane amount of land, insane amount of mana. But um, we really don't have many other plays thanks to Chalice. So I assume our opponent is now thinking if he has enough to stop me, considering he now has lethal facing him next turn. So we will see what he does. Having two 5/6 Tarmogoyfs always feels good against an empty board. But we have to remember this is e-Tron, so they could blow us out very quickly. So he has a second Karn. Fine. This one's definitely going to resolve. So he's going for an artifact from outside the game. I have to admit, at that moment, I wasn't quite sure what artifact he'd be going for, because I assumed he'd be getting some sort of obscure, powerful artifact that would completely hose me. But no, it wasn't that. It was a Tormod script. It was a Tormod script. So I mean, that was the fear. Tormod script. I mean, I get the idea here. I think our opponent is just out of other plays. Obviously, at this point, I'm looking at my opponent's graveyard. I'm looking at mine. If he pops Tormod's Crypt, I don't see how he can still survive. A mistake would have been to crack my fetch before he cracks Tormod's Crypt. You know, in theory, if he cracked it early, which would be a mistake on his end, I can play Serum Visions as well to, you know, grow my graveyard again. I wish I could tell you that I played Serum Visions there because I wanted to kind of bait him for Tormod's Crypt, but no, I just brain farted and forgot that Chalice was on the board. So I'm going in for the kill. I'm going to assume he pops Tormod's Crypt, but I think if he knows anything, he knows that unless I miss the Scalding Tarn crack, it's game over. So I'm only interested in attacking my opponent. I'm certain he thought that he had me because of Chalice, and it brings me so much pleasure to be able to beat him on game one. He was probably super confident that he had it, and yeah, that's it. It's game. So even with Tormod's Crypt, it was going to go to his graveyard. That made our Tarmogoyfs 3/4s, which technically wasn't lethal. But the minute I cracked my fetch, put a land in my graveyard, they went up back to 4/5s, killed him exactly the way we wanted to kill him. Again, game 2, game 3, we have a lot more that we can bring in. Blood Moon, in particular. Obviously, we would bring in Artifact Destruction to combat Chalice. You know, I think it's really a 50-50 matchup. If they assemble their Tron pieces early on and they cast a massive Eldrazi, you know, it's pretty much game. But short of that, you know, we have plenty of tools at our disposal to win out our opponent. I mean, I have won one game, surprisingly, after an Emrakul resolves and makes us sacrifice a bunch of our permanents. It just wasn't enough to kill us. So, you know, it is possible. Miracles do happen. That being said, I'm happy I was able to showcase this game. Almost a little bit out of spite because I'm so happy we're able to fight through Chalice. Yeah, so stay tuned for more. I'll be posting actual matchups soon enough for this deck and many others. If you enjoyed it, please like it, subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications whenever I upload new videos. I plan on making this a weekly thing, ideally posting 3 to 4 matches per week, if not more. Working on a website as well. Start posting articles and more in-depth analysis on these decks. So yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for the support.